This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast. Did you guys see this? This is unbelievable. What is that all about, Kinger?
Get in here for the real thing.
Like, let's get weird.
Maybe I blacked out trying to figure out what was going on.
Doubt, worry, fear, because that's what we're breaking the mold on here.
Welcome to Wild on 7th, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
All right, we're back. We've got a special guest with us today, but let's make sure we thank our sponsors, Pilot Games. Appreciate them. Make sure that when you're out on the patio, it's 75, 80 degrees and sunny, that you grab one of those tablets. Keep it in the shade. If it's like my iPhone, those things shut down pretty quick. But keep it in the shade, play your games, because when you do, you never know. You might win, but your community wins at the same time. Again, that's Pilot Games. Kinger.
What is that?
It's Pilot Games. Yeah, the E-tabs. Yeah.
Oh.
It's basically like digital pull tabs.
Okay.
It's fun.
I've got to get me some.
They're fun.
When you win, your community wins, Billy. It's a win-win.
I'm all about the community.
Well, we might as well intro him, Kinger. Go ahead. Bring him in.
we're going to put a bow on it with Billy Bob, as the case may be. It's a perfect time to mention Duke Cannon because, Billy, your hair right now looks like you'd be walking into the brick tournament up in Canada, you know, a star, peewee. I mean, this is... You said it's as long as it's been since your wedding. If you want to get this look, you want to look like the GM, you want to smell good, earn your clean with Duke Cannon, find them at Target. Great stuff. Welcome back to the pod. We're thrilled to have you. It's been far too long.
Yeah, it's been a long time. You know, I put my old helmet on every once in a while to see how far out of my helmet.
Did you used to?
Hey, do you ever have it come out of like the holes in the front? You know what I'm talking about? That's when like you need a teammate to help you out and be like, hey, you've got some hair sticking
My hair's
out the front.
really curly and it grows up, right? Not down. So when I was in college and we had mullets and stuff like that, and you know, before we'd go out, I'd take a shower, you put all your back then we were using Dippity Doo.
Yeah.
Put all that in, and I'd flatten it all down, and then I'd lay on my pillow for like 20 minutes just to flatten it.
Let it set up like that.
Yeah, so I could have like some flow like the other guys did.
You look like Nordy, straight flow right out the back.
You had the kid in play. Your son has that. His hair grows up too.
Oh my God, he's got a head of hair on him. Like it's he goes with the lines.
Yeah, I don't
Cutting to the side.
I don't hate lines.
Oh yeah.
For you.
You need a good barber if you're gonna have that kind of hair and cut it in, like keep it long but keep it short, keep it tight. It's not easy to do.
No.
And I think for Worlds, we're saying maybe a stripes on one side and stars on the other. Just, show up at Worlds. Freebird's playing on his phone every time someone calls.
I'd like to see the stars on one side. That would be tough.
Or maybe you do stars on
star.
top and
Just
stripes underneath.
Just one star.
1 star and 3 stripes underneath. I don't know if you have enough room, how that works, but hey, when you play, did you wear the old CCM helmet where you take the earpiece out instantly?
Absolutely.
Right when you get it, you take those 2 ear things
That's
out?
there's only like a handful of guys in the NHL that keep their like the earpiece on.
The plastic earpiece. First,
I think Crosby might be one of them.
Yeah,
He keeps the earpiece in?
There's no way I was doing that. Like growing up watching NHL games, and that CCM helmet was like that's a goal of mine to wear that in the NHL. And there were going to be no earpieces.
And the light blue Bauer shirt, the undershirt.
The Stanfields.
Is that what it was? It was light blue.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
It's so funny. Chris Kelleher and I watched a little bit of Strange Brew last night.
They're wearing them
In one of the
Darth
scenes,
Vader game.
One of the scenes, Rick Moranis is when they're making their movie. Rick Moranis is out on the rocks by the ocean. He's wearing like a Stanfield's, undershirt and like a jock, and But yeah, those are the best.
That's probably my favorite part about the hard chain photos that we get all the time now too, is you see the guys like in their undergear. It's like not glamorous. They're all taped up, like their shirts are tattered and ripped and everything like that. But it's like right after the game, so it's like genuine. It's not glamorous, but it's like that. This is how. I mean, it's what they do.
It's always the free cartoon shirts from like 3 years ago. Maybe a player that's not even on the team anymore. They're still wearing it. It's just awesome. So
yeah. Well, my wife mandated something probably 15 years ago now. No more free T-shirts. Like you
can't bring them home?
Can't, yeah, because when I was younger, I'd be like, hey, hey, all right, let's go to the bar, or let's go here, let's go there. And I'm wearing a Flexall shirt.
Yeah, that's
454.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I'm curious. I'm curious. Are you still dialed in watching the playoffs? So for me as a fan, I have this period where I get disinterested, and then I come back after because we're so invested in obviously the Wild. Are you just fully locked in watching, or are you focused on Worlds, or where are you at just viewing wise?
This year I've watched more. Usually when I played, it was done. Couldn't take it. Now I'm watching more, but I'm more curious to see what's going on. I'm still the jealousy of still being in just. Yeah, it's powerful.
It also helps, though, that these games have been unbelievable hockey games, too, like Dallas, Colorado, St. Louis, Winnipeg. It's been 3 straight games that were dynamite hockey. Like Florida and Toronto last night was another good game. Yeah. But
to me, when I was a player and I would stop watching, then there was a time where okay, it's been 10 years or whatever, I haven't watched any playoff hockey or anything like that. Then I'm like, I need to see this again. I need to see the joy that these guys have in winning, their reactions, to get that back in. You can't forget that. So I think the jealousy or the rage that I have watching other teams play, it's motivation for me. It's wanting to. I want to feel that euphoria when you win. That's what it is. You just, and I want to feel that again, but I need to see it. I need to. I think it's important for me anyways.
Is it also true? Like you watch 5 teams from the Central now made it to the playoffs. And I think through a 7-game series, you get exposed. Every team gets exposed. Vegas got exposed. The Wild got exposed in some areas where you're watching some of the competition and you're like, well, this is how we might have to beat, or this is a way that if we improve, we can beat this club or that club, or what works in the playoffs now. Yeah. I think that the playoffs are still the same. Where the first round is just physical. It's dynamite. It's the fastest, tightest checking hockey that's played the entire year. But you start to see things play out differently around 2, 3, 4 a little bit too. Does any part of you watch it for that too? Is there any competitive advantage in seeing how teams win, or what they're good at or what they're not good at?
Yeah, you could see what they're good at and how they play, their style. Things that might work for them that don't work for us. Or the type players that they have, where they make their plays, the decisions they make. The big one I see are special teams too, like power plays and penalty kills and things like that. So you pick up. I'm not really scouting the games or breaking them down. I'm just, that's interesting that they do that and that's working for them.
Yeah. I think this is a good segue because I found it interesting as the series with Vegas played on. And I don't think that the Wild went away from physical hockey, but it was more at the forefront. I think games 1, 2, 3 a little bit. And Vegas, I felt, really struggled. And then all of a sudden, the hit numbers, and that's not always a great example of how physical a game is. I understand that. But the hit numbers go down a little bit, and Vegas's game went up a little bit. And did you feel the same, or did you see it different?
No, I didn't really see that as much. The big thing for us was to be physical, but stay out of the box at the same time. I think Vegas made a few adjustments that helped them. And then I think the times that they gained momentum and got better, well, 2 main things is that Eichel and Stone turned up the heat. And then when we would slip away from our game for a few minutes, they would gain momentum off of that. Then when John dialed the guys back in. We started getting up on them, taking time and space away all over the ice. It was, that's when we were really on top of it. It wasn't the hits. It was taking away time and space, being in their face all over the ice. The one thing I love about John, and being with John in playoff series, like when we were in Wilkes-Barre together, the games 1, 2, and 3, they are investment games. We're planning on a 7-game series. So these are investment games. Mm-hmm. The physicality that you bring in 1, 2, and 3 are going to pay off in 4, 5, 6, and 7.
So this is kind of a deep one, but I want to get your take on this because you just brought something up. First of all, did you coin the phrase "choose your hard"? Did you put those words together?
No, I didn't. Actually, it was something my wife gave me.
Really?
Yeah. It was a book she read, and there was I forget who wrote it, but it I'll summarize. It's like being overweight is hard, being fit is hard, being financially successful is hard, being poor is hard, but after everything was choose your hard.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I added something at the end, and it was losing is hard, winning is hard. We need to choose our hard. And I try to bring something like that every meeting at the beginning of the year. I'm not looking for catchphrase or whatever. But the guys, next thing I know, they've got this chain with this sign on it, and I was happy that they did that because I think they bought into it too. They chose to take the hard route, and that's the route you take to winning.
And we felt it all year. The thing I wanted to ask you, so from training camp, Heinz ran a hard camp. Even just the feeling around Tria was different. These guys survived the ups and downs. They made it to the playoffs. It was, what do we say, 80 grit sandpaper? I don't even know if that's the right number. We took the hardest of hard. I'm wondering, this offseason is going to be very different. How do you balance the joy with the hard? Because the group you've had going through cap hell have done everything, 100-point seasons, made the playoffs every year but one. So how do you see, I look around the league, you mentioned it with the euphoria of winning. It's a Joe Boudal in the St. Louis. Marc-Andre Fleury is almost the patron saint of hockey joy. How do you balance kind of the, if I think as a fan, Billy, I want find the joy, because this town, this market, we all want the same thing you want, the same thing you feel when you watch the Timberwolves last year at the bar. So how do you balance kind of the hockey players being hockey players and then just the work it takes to be a pro? Sorry, that's a PhD question, but you can handle it.
Yeah, I think if I understand the question, I think I do. I don't know if I understand the question.
I'm just
you have to go through hard times. You have to go through hard things to experience, to get to the top of the mountain, to feel that feeling. It is so hard. It's so hard to make the playoffs in this league. It is so hard to win the Stanley Cup. You have to do the hard things. You have to fight the urge or temptation to take the easy way out. Choose the more disciplined, tougher way, because that's what's going to get you there. It's easy hockey, easy training, easy approach won't get you there. Mm-hmm. And you have to, what was it years ago? The Sixers had trust the process. Mm-hmm. And that was such a good one, because you have to trust in what you do. It'll get you there.
Yeah, I mean, you look around, you've got Edmonton and McDavid who go to the finals and lose, and then they're, it looks like they maybe are down and out in this LA series early, but they come back, boom, 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 find a way to win. You go to Florida, they won their cup last year, but they lost in the final the year prior.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost it feels like in playoff hockey there is no easy path. There's no such thing as winning an easy Stanley Cup. Like, you almost have to be seasoned with
Pain.
Yeah, pain. Like 60 grit sandpaper.
The only way
We
is
won in
pain.
95. The year before, we lost to the Rangers in 94. That was devastating. But we come back the next year. Our skin's a little thicker. We're more seasoned. We're ready. In 09, previous year, I wasn't in Pittsburgh, but they went to the finals and lost to Detroit. We beat them in 09. But then there was a gap of like 4 or 5 years where Pittsburgh really struggled in the playoffs. But you keep going through, you keep grinding through, and then you win back to backs. Like, you look at all the teams that had success. Chicago and L.A. Tampa Bay. Remember, Tampa got swept by Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
President's Cup.
People forget that. And then they go off and win 2 in a row. The pain that they went through got them ready to be that Stanley Cup, back-to-back Stanley Cup champion. You don't just march in and do it. There's pain involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think and I'll just follow up on this because it was a little obtuse to say the least, but when I watched McDavid and Tkachuk in that Amazon series last year, before Game 7, Connor looks like he's got the entire weight of the country on him. He looks like he's at his breaking point. Matthew's in a swimming pool saying this feels like Christmas morning before Game 7. And I even remember with you, one of the early things I saw with you was when Lemieux texted you and said, I'll see you at center ice. And I remember in the old 24/7, you're on the ice explaining, I got this text from Mario. He's going to see us at center ice. So I'm just wondering, at some point, I think like this group, the core you've built, they're bunkhouse guys. It's a great culture. They're great. I think at some point, maybe it's swagger or moxie or something that happens and kind of carries you through the day. And I'm sure a lot of the teams you had on there, it's that belief, right? That like this is going to, and you have that, you're an optimist. Foligno was talking that way the whole series. Hines talks that way. It's kind of like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah. And I think that's why this year was more painful than any other years, because there was real belief.
Yep.
And they should have, because this year we were better than the previous years. So the disappointment, I don't want to say disappointment, but it is like they're not satisfied. No, none of us are, because we truly feel like we are a good team ready for better things, and it didn't happen. And that's why this one stings a lot more than the previous ones.
So if pain is a good motivator, which I believe that it is when it comes to hockey.
I don't know if it's a good motivator. It's just something that it seems necessary to go through to reach your ultimate goal.
Well, and the reason I say that is last year, the pain of missing the playoffs, or maybe that's a different feeling than pain, motivated the group to have a great summer.
Yeah.
And guys did, and they came back, and the start to the season was different, looked different from the very start on an individual level and from the team perspective.
Yeah.
But it took a unified message and probably pain to get that start. Now, that start was critical because it carried you through the tough times of the regular season and got you into the playoffs, I believe. Without that start, I don't think that we're sitting here today. It maybe would have been a couple of weeks ago. Right. Now, how do you use, and maybe it's too early, but like, how do you stress, or how does the club get off to an equally good start next year? And how do you turn the page and begin that today?
I think it could be a combination of kind of what you were just talking about, the pain, but then what John was saying too is the belief. Like, all right, we know it didn't work out, but we know we were in it. Look, we did not get outplayed. We didn't score one of the overtime goals, we should have needed that. We could have used that. We were about to win, what was it, game 5, and we were offsides. So we got some bad breaks too, but the belief in our team was there. That combined with, another season of pain and experience, one of these years we will break through. And it's all of these different experiences and pain and belief and all that stuff that gets put together, and eventually you'll break through.
Hindsight, what was the moment of the series you think where if you get that, things go a different direction? And I'll tell you mine to give you an idea. It's Eriksson Ek on the doorstep when he drew the power play in overtime. Like how that puck doesn't go in, I'm not sure. And then also maybe not scoring on that power play. Like that 2 minutes for me was probably the series.
Yeah, I just a missed opportunity to go up 3-1. Just not being able to score in overtime, at least one of them. The offsides one killed us just because it was just a late. I mean, that's
an emotional roller coaster. You think you've got it, and then
and
you're looking at the goaltender, something different. I'll be honest. I didn't think it was offside. I thought they were looking for goaltender interference or something.
Yeah, I don't think we shrunk either after that. I don't think we did. I know it's an emotional roller coaster and everything, but I don't feel like the guys shrunk and their game went south. We were right in it. There was a little bit of a breakdown in the D zone, and kid made a great shot. That's it.
Hey, when you think of this summer, do you think it's your biggest summer as a GM? Like the biggest one you've had? Like you've already built the core, but like looking at, both your hands are here. One's not tied behind your back. So what is it? It's a pretty massive one.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, this is big. I mean, we've been waiting a long time for this. And when I say we, I mean everybody, you guys, fans, ownership, coaches, everybody, players. So yeah, this is a big summer. I want to make our team significantly better this summer.
And what does that look like? And it maybe isn't fair to ask at the moment, but I do want to give some credit to what we call on the podcast here playoff guys. Trennian, who one of the guys through maybe the first 82 that wasn't sparkling, but when it mattered was sparkling. Marcus Foligno, Ryan Hartman, similar guys cut from that cloth. Is it more guys like that? Is it something different? Is there something in the roster that you can identify and be like, we don't have enough of that? Is it a face-off guy? Is it probably a sandpaper D man? Do you know what you're looking for over the course of the summer?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to focus mainly on forwards. I mean, I believe our D is set. You never know. We've got a good mix of veterans and youth. But so mainly for me, I'm focused on forwards. Face-offs. We need somebody to help with that. We need. Veteran type guys that have been through it, that have, they've got some battle scars that can help in that way, but we could always use more skill too. Like we're always,
that's everybody, right?
That's everybody, but, definitely in the forward center position.
But was it gratifying to see the playoff guys elevate their game?
It was great. And I think Trenny, I think he struggled. Just the weight of the contract, I think really held him back a bit because, I've said it before, hockey players want to earn their money. They want to prove that they're worth what they got. And you try so hard and you want to make plays and produce, but then that takes away from your game, and it's a crazy cycle. He got it together at the right time, and the way him and Brazeau played on that line together was, they were very good. They were very effective. And I think moving forward, Trenny, it won't be as heavy on his shoulders, because, I'm not speaking from experience. I know I've seen teammates with that. I've been through it. It's hard. You want to prove to everybody that you're worth it. And sometimes it's just kind of shoots you, you shoot yourself in the foot. But the play, Foligno played great. Hartman played great. Though they've learned a lot over the years, but those are the expectations too.
Can you tell us about Yurov a little bit? It's hard to know. You can't see these Russian players sometimes the way you want, and they're breaking someone's record from some time, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. Their minutes tend to be different. Even their second assists are different. What kind of player is he? I mean, just does he remind you of anyone you played with? If you can give us a little glimpse on, I think, a player a lot of people are excited to see.
Yeah, I don't really have a good comparison, because I haven't seen him play a ton. But you know what? He's a long, rangy kid. He's got great skill. I mean, he cares about the defensive zone. But he's a highly talented offensive player. We're excited for him.
Obviously, signing Kirill to a new deal is probably a top your priority list. And I think
priority number one.
It goes without saying why. You're getting a great player. You want to lock him up. There's so many reasons. But can you share a couple of the other reasons? Is there, if you get this done July 1, does that help you know what you have going forward with other players, or is that less of a factor? Obviously, it's less of a factor. Having him be a long-term piece of the Wild is probably most important. But
yeah, that's most important. But it just gives you it gives you clarity kind of going forward. Whenever you can have all your pieces in place, as soon as you can, it's
locking him up the following year can help you this summer, next summer.
Yeah, absolutely. It just for planning purposes alone, there's no what ifs, and you can we can operate more freely when when everything's clear and set out in front of us, and we just know. It definitely helps.
How hard was the stretch run without Kirill and Eriksson Ek on everybody?
Oh my God. I honestly, look, I'm not satisfied with the way the season ended. Neither are the players, neither are the coaches. Nobody's satisfied. But I challenge anybody else to go through what our players went through. Plus the big empty cap hits, all those injuries to key players. Kirill missed half the year. Eki missed 38% of the year. Brodin missed 35% of the year. Something like that. I don't know. But the numbers are those are impactful guys. Spurgeon missed time, and they still found a way.
It's impressive. There was a lot of nights where I think the cap number was around 45 million team iced. That's well below the floor.
Yeah. So, just pick any team, take 15 million off their cap, and then take out their, one of their best defensemen and their two best forwards. They did a pretty good job to me.
Pretty good. I actually think that might be an understatement. And
I am very proud of the way the guys stayed with it and found a way in.
And we should pivot because how do you think Hines did with all of those restrictions throughout the year?
I thought he did great. And I think it goes back to the beginning of the season, training camp. Training camp's supposed to be tough. We're getting ready to play the season. It's not supposed to be a freaking country club, but everything that I think, and this is a team. This is the coaches and the players working together, and the messaging that he gave, the foundation of the systems the way we play, all those things that we did at the beginning of the year were the things that we fell back on when we had all the injuries and stuff. So
1,000%.
That's why training camp's critical to be not just hard, but effective and meaningful. It's for times like that.
Oh, it was like more like a foxhole than a country club, that's for sure. I need a little more Krill time, though. So I was showing Billy this newspaper. I'm one of the tens of millions of people that still get the Pioneer Press delivered to my home. But so this headline, I love everything here. So Minnesotans have this complex about people leaving. We're the farm club of the leagues, and, they go elsewhere to, find the euphoria. Everything I know about Kirill is this is a guy who loves this place. He's saying it feels more like home than ever. I mean, he's from Siberia, for God's sake. So I think Minnesota has some parallels there. What kind of opportunity do you see for Kirill to just like own a market, like be the cherry on top of the state of hockey, be our guy, not unlike Ovechkin and Washington, a real iconic player from a franchise that breaks through?
Listen, you guys are from here. I've been living here for 6 years now. Krill's been here for 5. A lot of the players, they're not from here, but they live here now. Like we all know this is a great place to live. Mm-hmm. This is a great city. These are great cities to be an athlete in. The fan base, especially for hockey, knowledgeable, passionate, all that stuff. He wants to win. And I believe Kirill he likes the things that are going on. He sees the path. There is a path to winning here. And he can go to any market and be the guy. That's not the most important thing to him. The most important thing to him is winning.
Well, I think you have to give, and you wouldn't, yourself some credit, Craig Leopold, too, for the culture that's been created here. And some of that is winning, but there's been investment in the team, in winning, in facilities, in treatment and care, all of those things that provide the whole experience for the athlete. Like,
yeah.
I've played in different spots. You've played in different spots. Not every situation is equal or the same. And when you get an endorsement from a player that says, I like everything here, you got to read between the lines. They like everything here.
They like, yes.
And there's more to it than just where you drive home and you park your car at night and you sleep and you shop and you eat. It has to do with the rink and everything at the rink too. And I don't know that you'll give yourself credit, but there's a culture there.
There is. And Craig, like when I got this job 6 years ago, I said this, there's everything to win here. And I talk to our players. I talk to our coaches because, most of them have been on other teams too. There's not one thing that you hear that another team has
that they long for here
that we don't.
Right.
It's Craig. There are zero excuses here.
Right.
He gives us everything we need to put a winning hockey team on the ice.
And that's not hyperbole.
And that is not everywhere.
No, it's not.
That is not even close to everywhere.
And I don't want to.
And it's,
I don't want to slow down the negotiations, but do you think somewhere in the mouse print you could put that he has to go on the podcast into the contract?
If you're an agent,
quarterly,
he would be great.
If you're an agent,
games.
An agent's not even going to look at that. It's
pushing.
like whatever. He assumes
I'm pushing you guys. I told
just
them.
really small. It's like page 85.
I said, you are going on the podcast. So I have not delivered on that.
It's going to be great.
But you know what? Great. Like, you know what we do? You know what we do need? We need to renovate our arena.
Yes.
The X it's old.
But they're on it.
Get that hotel in there.
We need it.
Well, it's the heartbeat of St. Paul. It's the heartbeat of St. Paul.
It is the heartbeat of St. Paul.
It might be the lifeline.
And by the way, St. Paul is outstanding, and that is the aorta. That it is right there, and get that hotel on there. Let's get it all going, baby.
It is the heartbeat of the city. I mean, honestly. So Yeah, I know these things take time and they take money and things like that, but you know what? If we're the state of hockey, and we are, shouldn't we have a building and facility that is, so if we're the best,
It should be
shouldn't we have the best?
It should be a cathedral.
Yes,
A cathedral of hockey.
100%.
You know, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, go back to like the early 2000s and look at college hockey, NCAA Division I hockey, their investment in their facilities and the national championships that follow. Like there's a direct correlation to new facilities and to winning and to everything else
Without a
because
doubt.
the environment, the energy, the players, everything.
Without
there's
a doubt.
buy-in. So I agree.
Yeah, players, or free agents, or whatever.
Fans.
They want to go to the best. They want to go to, my old coach back in junior called our winter habitat. Their winter habitat has got to be top notch. This Tria, this is second to none. It is amazing. But we need the X done. The fans need it. The players need it.
Hey, we've got just 2 more minutes with you, and I'm sure that you've been asked this question a handful of times, but we have to ask it on the podcast. Marc-Andre Fleury, what are the impacts that we know what he's had on the ice and with the fans and everything else? How about the culture of the room? What impact has he had?
I think he's had an enormous impact on the organization, on the culture, on the just he's given us a real boost. We've never had a player like that come through here.
Yeah, like a top 5 marketable NHL star.
Yeah, bona fide Hall of Famer, just right in. And to me, bringing him in, it was his, first of all, it was his play, and then it was our guys need to see how a true Hall of Famer operates. Hall of Fame player and a Hall of Fame person.
Yeah.
How he trains, he keeps himself in shape. I mean, how he treats the trainers, the waiters and waitresses, the people at the hotel, the people out in town. He signs autographs. That's a real Hall of Famer. And you give back at times too. And he's elevated our organization.
And what stood out to me probably more than anything, because I think when you play with a bunch of guys, you see hard work, you see dedication, you see a lot of those things. But what he brought in with that is a joy for playing the game that I think will live in that locker room for a long time. It's not just the work ethic, is a joy for it. And there were smiles on faces, and now like built into that culture is an appreciation for the ability to play the game every day for a living.
Yeah, don't waste a day. Don't waste a day, because we're all very, very fortunate to be here doing this, playing or doing my job or the coach or what. Have some gratitude, and I think showing the joy like Flower does is a good thing. Because a lot of times I think people take themselves too seriously and think that they're so important that they can't smile or laugh or really, show their joy of the game. And he does. And I think it's refreshing.
And he was asked about this, everything from e-bug to everything. I mean, do you imagine it's like McConaughey at the University of Texas? Are you going to have is it going to be some role for him to keep bringing that kind of Charlie Chaplin to the culture?
Yeah, he'll be involved somehow. McConaughey will be the e-bug, not Flower.
Okay.
We can negotiate.
Confidence. It builds
Will you-
confidence.
We'll get him using some Buchanan product.
I know. Yeah, I was gonna say you got the rights maybe till July 1. So
I don't think McConaughey
if you
showers.
can trade us exclusive negotiating rights to maybe get him to be on the podcast regularly, we would love that.
Absolutely.
So let us know what it's going to cost to get those negotiating rights, and we'll get the lawyers.
100%.
Well, I tell you what, I think we've got to let you go. It's never enough time when you're on, so thank you. I know you're busy stopping by. You've got other obligations in 4 minutes. So
Let's do it again sooner. I love coming out.
We miss you, Billy. Like, let us know how the stripes go on the mullet and the headband and the elliptical. I'm gonna tune into the Worlds. I'm gonna go see. Let's get that tournament too. Been far. It never happened, right? Have they ever won it?
Like the 30s or something. No, we gotta try. We gotta win.
Yeah, we're winners. Yeah. Let's go. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Billy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Man, one thing we like about Billy is how easy it is to talk about him too. For a guy that has done all that he has, and he's always gracious with his time, always easy to talk to, always run out of time. Like, we could have him on here this could be a 2-hour podcast every time he's on.
He got here a little early, and he's the boss, so it's a little like he's here early. He's so easy to talk to. Yeah. He's just like, I did ask him if Zeev could bill it with me for the summer. With you being close by, Heinz is close by. I said I'd put some weight on the kid. He didn't, I don't know, there was no closure on that conversation, but we were going to get some Dots pretzels for him, no free ads, and, beef him up, get him out on the pontoon. But yeah, Billy is like, I don't think people understand it because he's a unique specimen because he's a hard ass. Like, he's got the blacksmith hands. You don't want to get on the wrong side of him. He's a tough guy, a winner. But then he's a bunkhouse guy too. Like, he'd be on the pontoon. He'd be on the golf course with you. You'd have a great time if he's in your group. Yeah, it's rare to get that combination of kind of driven, but he's an optimist too.
Yeah, and relatable, and
he's just a dude. Yeah, right.
So,
not that many GMs are dudes, I don't think. And I don't mean dad of only daughters, but
DUDE.
Yeah, just not to confuse you. I had so many questions for him that I didn't get to. I didn't realize he was on the. Sorry about my first question, where I was like, but I was actually what I was trying to ask him there, Carts, was, there's hard, but I think it's been too hard. Like, it's been so hard for these 5 years with the cap hell. And
like, it's almost been so hard that now you need to change the tune. Yeah. Actually, Heinz did this in the playoffs.
Yes.
They lost the overtime game, and he's like, loved our game.
Yeah. So did Marcus. And that's what I was saying. I was like, if I could write the bumper sticker for next year, it's find the joy. You got Fleury leaving the locker room.
Or it's your turn.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like, and I don't mean don't work hard. I don't mean be in shape when you come to camp, run a tight camp. I'm just saying, there's an element of like Matthew Tkachuk wins the cup because he's in the swimming pool and it feels like Christmas Day. It can be too hard. And I think they've just gone through hell playing with one hand tied behind their back. But now it's like, hey, we got both mitts in front of us. We got a little belief. We know we can do it. It felt different. We're a great team, top 5 team start of the year. Yeah. Like, let's go get some. Let's eat.
Let's eat. Speaking of eat, if you were going to eat and you were going to get Dots pretzels for Zeev to billet him, maybe entice him to come on over a little bit, where would you pick those up?
Zeev, if you're listening or your parents are listening, honestly, White Bear Lake, great spot, Tally's Dockside. I would go to Cub. I'd even take Zeev there. He can drive if he wants. I got a stripe on my truck. We'd go over to Cub. We'd get pub burgers. He can man the grill, get some jalapenos, some cheese, some slaw, beans with bacon in them, maybe some ruffle chips, keep it local. And we would have a time. Paper plates, because who wants to do dishes? Go to Cub. It's homegrown. It's our favorite grocer, official grocer of the Minnesota Wild. They are now, if they weren't before. and also, you have an ad read.
You've got to be careful handing over the keys to the grill. Pretty soon he'd be parking in your stall. Like, who knows where that ends. But protect that grill a little bit. I know you might not be great at it.
Don't take my chair, Z.
Yeah, don't take your chair.
Don't take my chair.
Yeah. For me, it's wild construction. We are entering storm season. Actually, there was the storm last week, which was supposed to be Stormageddon. I think there was an overreaction. But the fear was...
God, was there ever?
The fear was giant hail. I even left my car. We went to Vegas. I left my car here and took an Uber to the airport because I was like, dude, my car's going to get...
They closed schools.
Spanked.
I went home early from work because I heard about this hail. I told everyone in the office, got to get out of here at 3:30. By the way, the accountability of a weather person, what is it, 0?
Yeah, that's why it might be the
It
greatest.
didn't even storm.
No.
It was like a nice sunset on the lake.
Yeah. The irony is, had that storm hit, though, we know some guys and gals that would have you taken care of. Our friends at Wild Construction, they do a terrific job. They specialize in exterior construction. So if your roof took a beating, if your windows, got broken by some heavy hail, the siding, your deck, doesn't matter, whatever it is, they can get you taken care of. The storm here didn't hit, and it wasn't threatening, but I think through parts of the state there was. So they travel all over. They were in and still have crews up in Cross Lake, Minnesota from last year. They had a big storm. They'll have some down south. But wildconstruction.com, they have the resources and tools to find where you were at. And if there were storms in your area, you pick the date. You have up to 12 months to get coverage. So let them get up on your roof, inspect some of the damage. It takes up to 12 months, and over winter is a great time to give them a call and have them come out. So wildconstruction.com, look them up. And slaw season.
No, I'm going back at you. How did your event go at Aquarius?
Aquarius, it was great. It was great. It was Derby time. I actually was wishing that I was going to be doing Game 7. Stanley Cup Final wasn't the case, but I was able to go to Aquarius Home Services. I did pick up my filters. It's a great deal. They had the petting zoo. The barbecue was top notch. The French fries, again, state fair level. Thank you to the fans of the podcast that showed up there.
Any jerseys?
We had some jerseys. We had some Wild gear.
Any
We had
Carter jerseys?
no Carter jerseys, so that means my mother stayed home. But for me, again, it comes down to customer service. It didn't matter there. The doors were open. It was come. It was eat. It was enjoy time. They're good stewards of the community, and they didn't expect you to buy something if you came to eat. If you brought the kids for the petting zoo, they're the same when they enter your house. They're respectful. They care about you, your thoughts, your feelings. Again, they put their little blue booties on. I heard all about these. One guy had a pink set, and he had to go back to blue. It's well branded, but ownership is great there. The Dohertys, terrific spot. Aquarius Home Services, earning the right to be recommended. So look them up for all your home service needs.
Hey, is your boat on the water yet?
Boat is not in the water.
Put mine in yesterday. That means it's slaw season. I opened the notes on my phone. Cinco de Mayo, got the pontoon in the water. That means leave that empty chair for the slaw. You're getting it from Jimmy's. They got the original. They got the pineapple. They got the spicy jalapeno coming, 60 calorie if you're watching your figure. Homegrown, third-generation family company down from Stewartville, down in Stewartville, Minnesota. Find you some Jimmy's slaw and have an excellent summer. So
I got to jump in real quick here because you celebrated Cinco de Mayo. I found out yesterday, texting a friend who grew up in Mexico City, that they really don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo in Mexico, other than maybe the city of Puebla, which is where they beat the French in a war. Just that one city. But
well, I heard someone on the radio talking about it. This could be totally wrong. This is not what we do for a living. Don't get into geopolitics a lot on the Wild on 7th. But as I understand it, when they beat the French potentially would have joined into the Civil War on the Confederate side. So Mexico did us a solid by taking down the Frenchies and help things work out.
And it's
for the
more
best.
celebrated in the States, and that might be why.
Because the Union, I don't know. I don't know if those dots are really connected. I think I heard that on K-Fan, so probably, unless it was Barrero, I'm not sure that was accurate, but, it is what it is. So I had like 30 questions for Billy. I only got to ask about 8. One of them was super complicated. So how much longer do you want to go?
That was like 9 questions in one.
I know.
I think you're actually plus.
I get excited.
Question.
We didn't see him enough. When's the last time we saw Billy?
It was.
He used to come on like once every 6 weeks.
Yeah, but I actually think you asked another question that you had asked before too, because he had told us on the podcast that his wife came up with "Choose Your Heart" earlier.
Oh, you looked at me when I did that. I didn't remember it though. I didn't remember it. I bet there's some listeners that didn't remember that either.
Sorry for bringing it back up.
You gave me the look. But I guess I do want to finish strong. I'm going to start with something we didn't talk to him about a lot, and everybody asked this at the press conference, but it did feel different. He talked about never getting outplayed in the series, kind of 50-50. It's probably more like 52-48, right? It's Game 6, not Game 7, but I do feel like there is a belief and that this is a group that knows they can do it, and I'm sure they did before. But they got miles on them now. You know, even though they haven't won those series, like they've been in the arena, they've done it a couple different ways. This time they did it the best they've ever done it. Do you believe it feels different heading into next year?
I think a big reason it felt different is in the past series, there have been times where the Wild abandoned what they were good at or became unraveled, and the opposition was able to win easy games. And that's what was frustrating for fans. It's like, dude, just roll out the same product. And for us alike, it's just be who you are for 7 games and you'll give yourself a chance. That's what the Wild were this year. Vegas never had an easy game. Actually, in fact,
they said as much.
And it was the Wild that did. There's 2 5-2 wins for the Wild. And Vegas's were a lot tighter, a lot harder. It took overtime heroics in 2 of the wins. And in game 1, Vegas, what was it, a 3-2 game? They ended up getting an empty netter on a little turnover there. But yeah, that's a 1-goal game. And you look at the magic that showed up in game 7s across the league right now. You never know. You're a shot away in those situations. But the Wild played hard, and they didn't abandon what they were good at. They stayed true to who they are, what they are, all the way to the very end. And I think that's why it felt different. There were no negative storylines to even run with at any point during the playoffs because they played hard. Like you couldn't say they didn't. And I do think that some of that is because they are seasoned. They are harder, but I think that you're also catching key players. And I wanted to ask Billy this at key times in their career. You have Kirill, you have Ek, you have some of these guys, and even in the Fleury effect, Boldy and Faber play like they're 27, 28 years old right now with that kind of hunger, like knowing like I've only got a couple of real impactful years left before I start to be a support piece to the next wave of guys, you know. And you listen to the comments of Foligno, Ek, and some of these guys. They understand that, hey, we don't have all of this time anymore, and it's now. And I think they played like it. And
you even watched in the exit interviews. I would encourage people to watch the exit interviews if you haven't on the Wild app. But they say the same thing. Like it was different, but they also have this. They know like. We didn't win, you know, it's still a first round exit. So they're kind of struggling with how to talk about it, but you're seeing that kind of cast iron griddle. Like there is some seasoning on this team. This is a group that's been together. They've been undermatched, one hand tied behind their back, and they've fought the whole time.
Yeah.
And 100-point seasons mixed in there. I mean, crazy stuff. So
I think the unfortunate part about not winning the series, despite the fact it felt different, was the other thing that's really important to learn is how to win. And what I mean by that is how to win and turn the page.
Yep.
So how to win series 1, emotional, like Dallas or even Winnipeg right now. We'll see what happens in Winnipeg. But there's a level of professionalism that's required to instantly turn the page and realize that last series is over. And these guys maybe don't have that experience yet. And that's the opportunity cost, I think, to this season and not making it to the second round as they would have understood. Even if they lose in the second round, you start to realize like, okay, man, it's every series is a new season and you have to instantly turn the page. What happened yesterday does not matter.
You see that with Toronto, right? Yeah. They had all those years of the first round and then they finally broke through and then they really got ran in the second round. Now they're in one with Florida. We'll see what happens. But no, I think you're right. Maybe he'll think of all this stuff as he's adding players to the roster. You got Fleury walking out the door. He'll still be around the team, but maybe get some of these guys that have that flow.
And the hope is those guys can help you hit the reset button. But I think it's the core. The core has to do it together, you know, and they might get some supplemental pieces, but we'll see. Maybe this group is different there too.
Do you want to talk a little bit on reasons to be excited? One of the things I noticed in the exit interviews is unprompted, Kirill talked about Zeev. So everybody asks about Zeev, and basically the questions were, you know, what happened in the playoffs, Marc-Andre Fleury, Kirill. That was kind of the line of questioning in all of these interviews. But Kirill kind of unprovoked was like, he was kind of talking about the future, and he was like, and you heard that from multiple people, whatever he was doing in practice, whatever they've seen in terms of his skating. Faber talked about his skating, a pretty damn good skater himself. And so I think that could be a real nice thing on the power play and elsewhere. I'm very intrigued with Yurov just because of what he's done, bringing another Russian into the card table on the airplane. I think that's interesting. Ogren seemed to have really thrived down in Iowa. We know he's got the shot. He's got the wicked shot. And then Juracek, another giant body. Maybe Juracek will have his Trennan moment, right? Where all of a sudden people are like, all right, I see what you're cooking here, Billy. And he wants it. He had a lot of bad luck this year with stuff that happened to him with the injuries and everything, but plus money in Billy's wallet. And seems like he's going after centers. He said forwards, but then he was even more specific in one of his interviews. We're looking for the center position. He said today on the podcast, which I hadn't heard before, seasoned vets, likes young guys too, but kind of looking for some people with some experience. So I'm very interested to see what happens.
Well, young guys are hard to get. You have to make more moves if you're going to get somebody 27 years old. Like, they're protected. There's not that many desirable UFAs at 26 years old. It's guys that another team decided they didn't want to qualify or they weren't going to sign. And so that requires a completely different acquisition, than going and spending money in free agency. So in free agency, you have to get veteran guys, and so maybe that's a look into what he's thinking that he's adding by free agency right there too. But I think back to Zeev, it's exciting what he brings. Now it's a question of, can he improve over the summer like a Faber did, like a Rossi did at that age? He's young, man. He's really young, and it remains to be seen how big of steps he can take. The skill set's there, the talent's there, and everybody you talk to that knows and has a trained eye for not just the game of hockey, but for personalities and people that can succeed in hockey, he has it. It's just a matter of managing it appropriately, I think. And I do believe that the organization, Billy included, will still continue to do whatever is best for player and organization. So that might mean he plays 82 in the NHL, but I don't know. I think Brock Faber's unique in that he didn't have to play American Hockey League games. And you look at Boldy, those helped him. Rossi, they helped him.
He's going to Worlds, which I think is interesting. So he's going to get another experience on a big stage.
Against man.
Yep, which he's done before. I'll be very interested to see how he spends his summer. I would personally be thrilled if he plants in the North Loop and he was here all summer. He's on the Marco Rossi 15-pound plan, and just, that would be very interesting. Every player is different. Maybe he's in California or wherever he lives, but I think it'd be very intriguing if he was around the guys all summer. He's a fixture at Tria. And he's working on, being a pro.
Yurov is exciting too because of what he could potentially bring in top six, and then you think about what he'll cost. It's not that much. So if he can provide top 6 minutes and be that kind of guy, the other reason it's exciting is he's, I think, 21 right now. I don't know when he turns 22, but that's a very different entry point to the NHL than 18, 19 years old. So he could be more of an impact player right away. That said, there's always an adjustment to the North American game for the European skaters. It just depends on how quickly he'll become adjusted to that game and to probably the culture. And Billy touched on this a little bit with Trenyan. I still think it's hard for guys that sign new deals, uproot and move in. It takes a little bit of time to fully get acclimated and comfortable in a new setting, new GM, how they manage things, how they critique you, how they praise you and coach everything else. Everything was different. I think we see more a playoff style Trenyan next year than we saw a regular season version of Trenyan.
Yeah, hopefully you get that from Hartman and Trenyan, right?
Yeah.
They build on it and they bring that. 82 games to get 16, right? It's a journey, but it would be awesome if they did. Do you have any free agents that you're circling on your radar? I was pulling up all the stuff that everybody's going to be pulling up till July 1st, but are there any guys that intrigue you around the league that are either UFAs or trade potential that you see fitting in here?
No, I haven't looked into that yet, but I did have this thought today. Like I was looking at, and I want to see because I don't recall what Charlie Coyle was traded to Colorado for. And if you could find that kind of deal, a guy that's making $5 or $6 million, who's kind of right in the prime, like you think about Charlie Coyle. Now he's not like your top six, but he played top six on a good team in Boston in the middle.
And he had a great year for them.
If he could be your 3 center, like all of a sudden a guy that's big, strong, seasoned, like playoff success, and you can go get him for a second rounder or something. I don't know what he went for, probably in a package deal, but. If you could target a guy like that, 2 years left on his deal, that would be ideal. And I only say that because we know Charlie Coyle, we know what he brings. I'm not saying the Wild should go target him or that he's even available. I'm just saying if you could work a deal like that to get a player like that, that's intriguing. Not just to me, I think that would be to anybody. I just think it's hard to find somebody that's 27, 28 years old that's going to be good and impactful that isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg. The other thing you get in free agency is somebody that's 34, 35 years old. How much term do you have to give them? And you're paying a lot of money to a guy that you might get 2 good years out of, and then you get diminishing returns.
Yeah, I was looking at the list. You got Tavares, Sam Bennett, Brock Nelson is a name that's been thrown around a lot at the center position. So I'd be interested to see if there's trades, if it's all free agency. I mean, Billy he is.
Bennett would be great.
I love a rat too. Bring it on, all of it. I mean, I would love to have
score
a player like
Rat, Sandy.
It's experience, talk about the ups and downs. Other names I've been hearing that I don't even know what their situation is, but Mangiapane and Calgary Ehlers, these are guys that are still out there. I don't believe either of them are a center, but I'll be very interested to see. He did say he'd be interested in a scoring wing, of course, as well, but I hope it's like it will never be quite like the 4th of July with Parisi and Ehlers, Parisi and Suter when we were all on our dock sharing text. But I hope July 1st and the month afterwards is just a time to just stock that cupboard with depth, because that's really what got us, right? That little 2% was in that depth. It's just that even the injury situation, these guys get hurt, but you're really cutting into the bone and muscle because we didn't have any cushion there. So to get that back is just going to be tremendous.
Yeah. All right, what else we got to wrap up this season?
I was going to do upside with you. Matt Boldy, unbelievable season. He became Batman, not Robin. This 50-50 thing is still a real thing, right? 50 goals, 50 assists. He almost had 50 assists this year. He played all 82 games, using his body completely different. GWG King. This guy's that is really a thing. Matt Boldy, 50 goals, 50 assists one day potentially.
Yeah.
You see that?
I do. I think it's going to come down to who's going to get 50 first. I don't know. Gosh, I'd have to look, but one team, 250 goal scorers. I don't know how often that happens. Like
maybe Edmonton.
The issue is Kirill can get 50, and maybe Edmonton. I know McDavid had that one special year, but Draisaitl's kind of been the guy. He's been the one that finishes McDavid's plays, and but still, he has the potential to be a 50-50 kind of guy. I maybe see him more 40-60. You know, if he's a 100-point guy, and but. Unbelievable year. He took strides, and where he took strides, in my opinion, is handling the ups and the downs way better than he ever has in the past. He's been what people call, and what is probably true, a streaky player. And what streaky players do is they ride waves of confidence. And at times, I think if confidence was a balloon, it gets too big and it pops for him, and then it goes the other direction, and it happens fast. But this year, he managed the air pressure, the PSI inside of that balloon so well that it didn't burst. He understood what confidence was and how to manage it more, and what gave him success on the ice. But I think for me, as I close my eyes, the vision we have of Boldy right now is him driving from the right wing wall with a little free hand, holding a guy off, puck on one hand, a defenseman on his shoulder, taking it right to the net. And you can see half of the number 1 on his jersey, and then the 2, because the other person's draped all over him. And then he makes a play with the hands like that. That was like his signature play of the year. And that's why I think he turned into a power forward, because that move has to be present if you're a power forward. He's not pulling up. He's not hitting the second wave. Like he's the guy. He wants to be the guy.
No, I agree. And he's got that, it's the Yager butt, the Charles Barkley box out. So we'll do a little speed round to finish. Gus. Okay. So Gus was interesting in the exit interview too, because he said this year was so unique for him because Flower was on his way out. He was on his way in. It was truly like a support system. Next year, he's back to competition with Wally, and Wally going through what he went through this year. I feel so good about our goaltending. Billy did not take it off the books that he might renegotiate with him sooner rather than later. But
this is Gus, you mean?
Yeah. So how do you feel about Gus? He had the Gus being Gus off season. You expect more of the same from him next year. He's going back into this role of now a young gun, trying like hell to take his spot, and he's got two there.
He was never a true number one, I don't think, until
this year,
until the playoffs. So they rode him while hot, but I don't think anything was promised.
He was just hot all year.
Well, no, Fleury was really good up until probably January. I think that it was kind of the both of them, and but it was Gus more heavily than Fleury, and I think some of that was expectation. But remember where we came into the season, where it was a three-headed monster in goal. Mm-hmm. So Gus was not the
he was
number
talked
one
about for trades.
He was not the number one coming. He was the number one A, however you want to say it, but he wasn't like the guy guaranteed you're getting the net. You're Connor Hellebuck, you're Vasilevsky. You're not getting the net every night regardless of what happens. That wasn't the case for him, and I don't think it was the case until the playoffs. Maybe probably at the deadline, he started to take over and was that guy. So I think you could give it to him then. But even there was a level of doubt after the Four Nations. If you don't recall, the tournament wasn't great for him. I don't think he went into it great. I don't think he came out of it great. But he righted the ship and was great down the stretch. Now, his challenge will be, can you duplicate last year's steps off season and come in with the mentality and the pressure of being a true, legit number one? Because Billy even said this, and I'll paraphrase a little bit, but the floor has been set. Expectation has been set. The playoff loss this year felt different. And Ryan Hartman and Trenning and Foligno, your floor is now reset. Mm-hmm. And Gustafson's floor is now reset. This is now the expectation, right? And with that expectation comes pressure. And how will he handle that getting, 55 starts or more during the regular season? That will be the challenge for him. But I think we're all comfortable, right? Like, he looked good. He looked unflappable. He looked steady. He looked trustworthy. And he didn't look like a guy that was ready to give up the net.
Okay. Last one, speed round. Curious your take on this. So, Fabes, right? Faber, his ceiling, because this guy played great. He was an Ironman, Four Nations, the whole deal. And I'm only specifically talking about offense because he's clearly a guy that'll do whatever it takes to win. Potential future captain someday. But I was looking at his stats, and it was interesting. This is the part that was interesting. So, 2 years ago, he was a 0.57 point a game guy. He was on that top power play a lot. So he was getting cookies. 47 points in 82 games. This year he goes down to 0.37, 29 points in 78 games. But what was most interesting to me is I looked at his last year at the U of M. He had 27 points in 38 games. That's a 0.71. Wasn't on the power play. So I'm just curious, what do you think? As it feels to me like he can be a shutdown D, but still a 40, 50 point guy.
Well, he's going to be a shutdown.
Z-Thing plays into it too, but I'm just curious upside offensively with Brock.
Yeah, I would say 0.5 would be my guess, and I think it'd be north of that if he was going to be on PP1. There's no question about that. But he's your top set D man. Yep. That's like non-negotiable. So when you're on the ice with the top guys, you make a good first pass, they do their thing on the rush, and then you get in the offensive zone, pull the trigger. I think he's probably going to want to work on his shot a little bit this summer, meaning his ability to get it off and get it through.
And to finish.
Yeah. Yep. And then I consider him to be very similar to Brodin in that they both have had, and Broads has probably passed a little bit, offensive upside. But where I think Faber has a little bit of an advantage right now is he has management and messaging, I think, that says, hey, we're going to unlock that. I want you to be involved in the play more. I want you to move more, skate, get to the net. Like, use your skating. It's your strength to create more offense. where I think at times this year, which is why his numbers were down, and even the style of play is part of that. Don't forget the style.
They were hanging
of play.
on a ledge
Yes,
by their hands.
where they didn't pinch, they didn't extend ozone time. They weren't jumping up in the play. So some of that has to do with that. But I think he'll be encouraged to use that more of a strength. And we used to say the same. I've said it ad nauseum about Brodeen. Like, you should be up in the play every single time because your skating is so good that you're like the lone guy that can catch anybody on the way back. You can turn a 2-on-1 into a 2-on-2. You can turn a 3-on-2 against into a 3-on-3. Like, you'll get back in time. You're that good of a skater. So take the risk up the ice. It's not much risk for me. Brodeen just doesn't want to do it. We'll see if Faber unlocks that.
Yeah, and he could learn from Spurgeon, too. I mean, Spurgeon put 32 points on the board this year.
And that's a good first pass. That's a good first pass.
He was out of the lineup a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of points for a bounce back after injury from him, too. So anything else you want to cover, or should we put a bow on, hey, we're back in the playoffs. Thank God. 22 seconds, is that what it was with the Eck goal?
Yeah.
How
about that, though? The West is a grind. Calgary, I didn't realize this till I read it yesterday. Calgary they set the record for the most points
without making the playoffs?
Yeah. In a season
I'm not
without making
surprised.
the playoffs. The West is a beast right now.
So the West, does the West win the cup?
I think it's better, a gauntlet to get through.
Or do they just kill each other and the East wins it?
I think it's
East Carolina wins it in 5.
They're gonna die. You know what's amazing though? Like, and I always feel like this is like the Wham factory.
Fighting.
The East never leaves the Eastern time zone for 6 weeks.
Amazing.
Meanwhile, and I talked about the travel difference between Minnesota and Vegas, even though they're playing the same series. Like, it wears on you. Like, disrupts the sleeping patterns, everything. Like, the East gets to stay right in the East.
Oh, we would have been going to Edmonton.
Yeah.
It would have been, I mean, it's brutal.
So to go back and forth, that is a competitive advantage. There's no way around it. The only thing is, once you get to the Cup final, it might be hard for the East because and it happened to me 2012 when we went to the Cup final, we're playing the LA Kings. And
that's as bad as it
LA is a little more accustomed to changing time zones and being ready at the start of games, where we were like, oh man, this is a grind. Like, we're starting this game at 11 o'clock on the body clock. Like, we're tired. So a little different. But yeah, the West is a beast. The Central's a beast. Even talking to Billy, 5 teams from the Central made the West, and 4 of them were in Game 7s.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Well, to put a bow on it for me, first, just want to thank the listeners, all the people Ryan and I get to meet out there. Obviously, Huss, the social team, the Wild folks that let us do Sicky, getting us guests and everything. Next year is the 25th season of the Wild. There's going to be lots of shenanigans and fun around that. And I do believe, man, it's just like when you get that first goal on a goalie, a bunch more are coming. This team is going to burst open, and I'm ready to let my chest hair on fire because it is going to happen, and I am on the train until it does because it'll be even more rewarding when it finally happens.
Is there a crack in the mold? Do you see a crack developing, like a fault line in the mold? Like, if this year was different, we have to say we're growing, and there's a crack in the mold.
This was the first.
So if we're going to break it,
This was the first time after an exit. So the big thing, 2 things happened. We didn't talk about this. 2 things happened after we got eliminated. There was this stat that went around the internet everywhere about we were the first team
8 and 10 years to not get past the first.
And it was like, I don't even know if it's true. It went everywhere. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, but also there's teams that have definitely missed the playoffs for 10 years in a row. That sucks more. And then I was kind of like, what is this even? What is this stat? First of all, like, this is insane. Like, football teams don't even play series. Like, this is nuts. But I did hear on my group text and everything, there was a lot of this, like, I think the best we did with cracking the mold was there was a little bit of this, like, they played good. There was definitely a pause.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't.
And this felt different. That phrase alone.
That phrase
alone is a crack in the mold.
By far, that's the sentence I heard the most from anyone. Wild players, Wild staff, fans, everyone. Now, I don't know what that's worth. 6 games, 2 pucks in the.
It's worth a crack in the mold.
It's a
step. You can't climb a mountain without taking that first step.
It's a little windshield crack. And if you don't get it fixed, before you know, you got fresh air on your face, baby. And we're going to be here when that happens because we're here
Till it's here.